Hello humans, Master Dinnerflex here, bringing you the low quality content you deserve. And today, we got some of the final cards announced for whatever the next set after Hypernova is. I do not remember, Cybers, whatever. And it actually came with a lot of interesting, I want to say gimmick pieces, but some of these are actually just very valid. Including a level 2 dragon tuner that's a double tuner. There's a lot of really interesting cards in here, but I feel like people are going to use the tuner already. So what I want to show off instead is Harvest Angel of Doom, another card announced as some of the final things. And this card is actually another Pendulum Counter Fairy, which we haven't seen in 6 years. No, actually 7 years. So, during your main phase, as a Pendulum effect, you can destroy it in your scale, and if you do, you can add Black Horn of Heaven from your deck to your hand. That's interesting. It searches specifically one card from its Pendulum scale, and then on normal or Pendulum summon for its monster effect, it adds one Horn of Heaven, the original, from your deck to your hand. Then, if this card is distributed, you can place it in your Pendulum zone. Now, this is actually very interesting. So basically, this card, Sing It Alone, with Pendulum Scales, is 2 counter traps, which is very unique. And this is definitely what I can tell the Jerome Mchale special. If you guys don't know, Mr. John Konami of the TCG himself actually used to be a Yu-Gi-Oh player that was pretty good, and one of the decks he was probably most iconic for was Counter Fairies. Which is why every time you hear him say, hey, you should put green light in your deck, that's the reason why. And this is also why I wanted to name this video Yu-Gi-Oh! Quick Combo Jerome Gets Horny, but I don't think that would fly. So, basically we have a new Pendulum Counter Fairy that just searches 2 Horns of Heaven. Now, this hand is very stacked, but that's not how Pendulums actually work. I just wanted to skip the fluff and just get to the point already, because there are so many tutors to get to this in Pendulum, whether it be through main deck monsters, extra deck cards, spells. The thing about Pendulum is it's always a 3-card hand, but you can tutor whatever you need. So I'm just going to skip that fluff, because there's plenty of tutors to get a hand similar to this. The only one you couldn't ever really account for is Artemis, because that's just a regular effect monster. So, I just want to demonstrate this one, and then another combo after this real quick, just to kind of show a really interesting concept of, trying Counter Fairies in a new style. So let's start off with Harvest Angel of Doom. We'll put it in scale, destroy it with its own effect, and then we will get Black Horn of Heaven. Next, we will activate Luster and Ariadne. Luster will go ahead and pop the Ariadne, and we will get another copy, and then we will reveal 3 judgments from our deck with the Ariadne, and add one of them to our hand because our opponent would not have a real choice. And then we'll activate the other Ariadne in scale, and then we will Pendulum summon. We will summon Artemis, Harmonizing, and then finally from our extra deck, Harvest Angel of Doom. Doom on summon, Harmonizing Chainlink 1, Doom, Chainlink 2. Doom will go ahead and add the original Horn of Heaven, and then Harmonizing will summon a Magician out of the deck. Now, one final thing I want to do is we will overlay these 2 level 4s into Baguska, and then we will set 3 pass. Now, you are probably a little frustrated. I drew a 5-card flawless hand to end on Baguska pass. Well, it's a little more than that. So, like I said, the 4 cards that were Pendulums, every card in the hand outside of Artemis, you can actually get to whenever, however, in Pendulums. That's just how the deck works. You will tutor a bunch of Pendulum excuses for search cards until you get this hand, whether it be Beyond the Pendulum or whatever search cards they have. So, getting to this part is nothing. It really isn't. So that hand could have been whatever, and I probably could have got to it regardless. Outside of the Artemis, of course, but I wanted to show off Artemis for this demonstration of an idea of a more aggro counter fairy deck. Now, even excusing that, why would I end on Bagooska Pass? Well, it's a little more than you think. So, under Bagooska, what you're going to have to do is your opponent's going to have to commit Link monsters. And I don't know if you've ever read Black Horn of Heaven, but this is just the summon negation of Solemn Strike for free. Oh, so they commit a Link monster, it negate the summon, it's gone. Alright, now they have to spend more resources to go into another Link monster. Oh, wait a minute. That's what Horn of Heaven stops. We'll tribute the Harvest Angel of Doom. So, we remove 2 Link monsters. And then if they ever wanted to activate a Book of Eclipse or Dark Ruler No More, we have the Judgment to stop that. And one final thing. Bagooska, while in defense, says negate the activated effects of monsters that are and were in defense position. Bountiful Artemis doesn't activate. It is a continuous effect to draw cards each time a counter trap is activated. So, off of that, we will draw 3 cards. That's what I wanted to demonstrate. Your opponent actually isn't given the right to play through this board, despite how very unintimidating and unassuming it is. Because, of course, they have to commit links in order to interact with Bagooska, or a non-factor like Dark Ruler or whatever, which Judgment stops. So, and each time you negate one of those cards, you get a draw. And drawing cards in a Pendulum deck is very terrifying. But that's one demonstration I wanted to go over. Just the concept of a more aggressive counter fairy deck. And like I said, one of the things about Pendulums is they have a lot of interesting tools for going second, which is where counter fairies struggle the most. But now that we've got this out of the way, let me show another demonstration of an idea I had. Now for this next demonstration, what I did earlier is I made a counter fairy deck with Pendulum support. This is the reverse. So it's basically Draco Slayers, but instead we're going to be focusing on more of what they do with support of Harvest Angel of Doom. So let's start off with Majesty Ignis, a very great start to have, as always. Now, we will go ahead, use Majesty, pop the Ignis, and we will search Dynamite, and then the Ignis will trigger, and we'll go ahead and summon Luster Pendulum. And now, we will normal summon Harvest Angel of Doom. On normal summon, it will search Horn of Heaven, and then we will synchro these 2 into Ignister. And with Ignister, we will go ahead and summon another copy of Dynamite Knight out of the deck. And we will go ahead and activate the one we searched, and then we will link these 2 off into Beyond the Pendulum, which will pay 1,200 life points, and we will search Harmonizing Magician, because we do want another Ignister. And again, like I said, one of the things about Pendulums is there's so many tutors to the exact same cards over and over again. Your hand doesn't need to be exactly these cards, but you want to start comboing when you have access to whatever these cards are going to be. Now, we will Pendulum Summon, Harmo, Harvest Angel of Doom, and then Luster Pendulum. And then Harmonizing will summon another level 4 Magician out of the deck, which we will use Purple Poison. Now we will sync these 2 off into another Ignister. And this Ignister, I guess, let's go ahead and summon Majesty Pegasus. And we will go ahead and discard a random card. And we will search Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to overlay these 2 Draco Slayers into Magister Paladin. We'll go ahead and apply our search for the end phase. And then we are going to detach Majesty Pegasus to revive the Dynamite Knight out of our extra deck. And then we will use the Dynamite Knight scale effect to summon the other Majesty out of our scale. Now, This one can't be used for next week. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and tribute both the Dynamite Knight and the Harvest Angel of Doom to make Dinoster power. Now, what's really interesting is at the start of the video, I explained if this card is tributed, it's placed in the Pendulum Zone. That is how Dinoster summons itself. It's a contact fusion of tributing the materials. So both Harvest Angel of Doom triggers and Dynamite trigger to add this Draco Slayer back to our hand. And this will go in scale, and in scale we're just going to pop it to get the other Horn of Heaven. Next, we will use Dynamite Knight, and we will summon back the Majesty Pegasus that's in our graveyard. So now what we have is, this one can't be used as a fusion material, that's fine. But we have a face-up Spellcaster, which we can now activate Secret Village of the Spellcasters, and we are going to overlay these 2 level 4s into, you guessed it, Baguska, and then this will go into defense, and we will set our 2 Horns of Heaven, and in end phase, we can go ahead and search a new Pendulum monster, which I guess, let's just go for a low-scale Ariadne. So, these are levels of Baguska Pass that no one's ever seen before. Basically, this is how it's playing out. While you have Baguska, your opponent's only attempt at monsters have to be links, which of course both Horn of Heaven and Black Horn of Heaven punish. But in addition, this board very specifically searches Secret Village of the Spellcasters, and because of that, the power spells like Eclipse and Dark Ruler are out of the question until they beat over Beyond the Pendulum. But they can't beat over Beyond the Pendulum because Baguska is up. So they need to go into a link, which the Horns of Heaven stop. Basically, there's this vicious little loop here where the only cards that actually interact with anything on board are traps. Nothing else will interact with anything here. That's really neat. I actually think this is a really cool concept. How practical is it? Don't know. One of the things about Pendulums, however, is like a random level 4 Harvest Angel of Doom is very searchable. And the thing about like Horn of Heaven and Black Horn of Heaven, these cards aren't very powerful prior to Harvest Angel of Doom. But one of the things that's very interesting about Yu-Gi-Oh! As a card game is when you make any card a searchable version of itself, its power level escalates dramatically. When Black Horn of Heaven isn't searchable, there's no reason to play it over Solemn Strike. But when Black Horn of Heaven is very searchable, even to the point that the extra deck can access it, then its power level escalates despite the fact that the text on this card has not changed. It is because when it is a guarantee function of your deck, it is like a guaranteed accountable, which is much stronger than a random disruption. You always want a guaranteed disruption over a random, so that's what makes this interesting. Because you're searching both Horns of Heaven with a card that in and of itself is searchable, you are creating a situation where what boards can you make when you can account for 2 summon negations? And I think that's what makes this card a little interesting. But yep, that's about it. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like I said, those last few cards announced, a lot of them are pretty interesting. I don't know if I'm going to do one over the new tuner because I think a lot of other people are going to do it. But I wanted to demonstrate this one because I think it's I think this one's actually pretty good. I don't know its practicality level yet. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and remember, Master Interflex will take your soul.